So here's my little rant and ramble video for the day. We just talked about the Analogue Duo a couple days back, giving you guys the heads up that pre-orders were going live as of May 19th. That's today. As of the recording of this video, it's been over 5 hours since pre-orders went live, and they are not sold out. There is a limit of 2 per order, but that's never stopped anyone before. Usually, these things sell out like immediately, like crazy. Anything Analogue puts up, it's gone. I have some thoughts as to why it's not happening this time. There's a couple reasons. One, I mean, just take a look up here. Duo, Pocket, Super NT, Mega SG are shipping in 2023. The main culprit being the Pocket. There's been people waiting forever to get their hands on that thing. They have orders where it was like they were told, oh, they'll ship in January this year. January's come and gone. They don't know when. I don't know. You know, there's a lot of people who've been waiting. You wait a long time. And then the other problem is when you pre-order something from these guys, and they don't give you a specific release date. They just say 2023. I had a dream, a vision that 2023 is up until the very last day of the year, right? But with their track record, what's bound to happen? Something's going to happen here where it's like, I don't want to jinx it, but it's bound to happen because history repeats itself with these guys, right? Where it's going to get closer to the end of the year, maybe fall, September, October, and then they're going to announce, hey, it's going to dip into next year, 2024, you know, the beginning of 20. You never know. The confidence is kind of like, been challenged here. You know, a lot of people just are not confident with Analogue holding on to their money for such a long period of time with no firm release date. No, like, this is when we're going to start shipping. Like, they're not telling you that. Just pre-order now. Get it going. Get this thing in your hands and let's go. And we'll figure it out later when you get it, right? So that's, I think, one of the main things. One of the main things is that the confidence isn't there. People just like, I don't want to give these guys an interest-free loan. And I've told people the shipping, I checked. For me to get this shipped, it's like $25. You know this, the package is only a couple pounds. $25, little much, but overseas, and then depending out, you know, where else you're at, I've heard of outrageous figures. I think $25 is a little ridiculous. I ship things all the time, so I've seen the changes with shipping charges, but they're a big company. They're getting discounts. You know what I mean? So they're profiting off of that shipping. I don't care what, you know, how you want to look at it. They're profiting off of it. And then you also, because they say they're, you know, US based, you know, company, but they're not. They bank through, like, their bank is in Hong Kong. That's where the CEO is. So I have Bank of America. Whenever I've bought something from these guys, I get that international transaction fee. So a little added tacked on, like, that's because of the bank. It's not these guys profiting off of it. It just costs you more depending on your bank. Not all banks do that. Not all credit cards or banks do that. I typically use debit card. I don't try to buy things with credit too often. But, you know, when I've used my bank, everything I bought from these guys, always international transaction fee because it's going to Hong Kong. So that's a problem. The other thing that I think is a really, it's probably more likely the bigger culprit here, as far as these still being available for pre-order, is the interest. Throw all that other stuff aside. The cost behind, like, it went up in price too. It was $200 when they first announced it. Now it's $250, right? The interest, it just, you know, not to do with all the stuff we just discussed. I just think it's more of a niche console, especially like, hey, it's disc-based. I know a handful of people who love collecting PC Engine, TurboGrafx, but that's like kind of, it's a niche of a niche type of thing. Awesome games. Don't get it twisted. I'm not knocking these systems, man. I love the PC Engine and TurboGrafx. You know, I have the mini consoles, right? I have a Mister. I have the Analogue Pocket, and I have the dock for this thing. And I've already seen a few people who like kind of had the same train of thought as me. It's like, hey, I have all my systems or whatever. If I want to play through an FPGA based system, I already have an Analogue Pocket, and it plays all these games through Open FPGA. So you could load up, you know, PC Engine CD games on this, play it like it's a little Turbo Express, or plug it into the dock and you got it on your TV, right? That's awesome. So if you're not somebody like I'd already said it, I think this console is it's niche, And it's definitely a beneficial thing for somebody who has a big collection, doesn't want to put wear and tear on their original system, because those duos and whatnot, they can be finicky, upkeep, getting them, recap, things like that, calibrating the freaking disc reader. I don't know. There's some maintenance involved. So I could see the interest being there, that, hey, those big collectors, this is cool, man. They don't have to put wear and tear on their system, but it's just so niche, and there's so many other options for people who don't have collections. I mean, we've looked at the TurboGrafx 16 Mini, the PC Engine Mini, right? And it's a shame how the TurboGrafx Mini didn't last very long. Like, we weren't getting a ton of restocks on that thing. PC Engine Mini, last I checked, you could still import them from Japan for around $100 or so. So there's that. But those options are out there. When I was growing up, man, and I was always into video games. Atari 2600, moved on up to an NES, and I had some friends who, you always had like that friend out there, that one friend who, like, their family strayed a little bit from what was popular, what everybody else had, right? So while everybody else had an NES, like, there'd be one kid who had a Master System. Not a knock at the Master System. It just wasn't as popular in the US as it was in other, countries out there. But just from my own personal experience, I knew like one kid who had a Master System. And it was cool, man. It was cool. Sega Genesis came out. I knew a lot of people with Sega Genesis, but before that, like, Master System wasn't crazy popular. And then it was like the same thing with stuff like the TurboGrafx 16. I knew one kid who had one, and we would go play it, and it was like, hey, these games are cool, man. These games are cool. But the kid didn't have too many games, maybe a handful of games, and check them out here and there, and like, okay, we're gonna go back to our Super Nintendo's, Sega Genesis, whatever type of thing. So it was like you had a little nibble of all these consoles. It wasn't like, like the Neo Geo was a very rare thing too, more so than any of the stuff I just was talking about. I knew no one with a Neo Geo. Nobody had one. I didn't live in no rich neighborhood. I'm sure maybe the kid up on the hill in the mansion, his parents bought him a Neo Geo, but we didn't hang out with that fool. You know what I mean? So we didn't have that. But we did get to play, Neo Geo in the arcade. So it's just kind of the exposure of these systems and the popularity of them, nostalgia. Like, right now, like, being later on in life, growing up, aging, you age every second, but, nostalgia is a thing. It just kind of brings you back, right? And these systems, TurboGrafx, excellent, freaking awesome games. I love, like, learning about new games I never played before, but the nostalgia isn't quite as strong for me. So that's why that's one of the reasons I think like this may not be as popular, is because the nostalgia is not as strong for as many people. The system wasn't that popular in the US. So right now it's more of a niche collector. So I just want to see what Analogue does in the future. There's a lot of negative things you could say about these guys, but you know what? I enjoy their products. I'm just, at this moment, I didn't pre-order it. I'm not buying one. And it's kind of strange, because normally I'm extremely excited for everything that Analogue does, and I just grab it. And, fear of missing out. Oh my God. Like, you have to grab these things. This time I didn't feel that. I was like, I don't want it. I don't really need it. I do feel it'll probably sell out at some point, maybe manipulation through them. Like, hey, it's not doing as well, let's cut it off. And then, like, hey, there's a final run, just to kind of build up that FOMO, that fear of missing out. They might do that. You never know, man. Some companies can be shady, but yeah. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Bye.